Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are following a dramatic fictional scenario that has shocked viewers around the world. Reports are emerging of a sudden and unprecedented joint attack launched by 4 Middle Eastern countries against a highly sensitive Israeli military academy area. In this imagined storyline, the event unfolds with intensity, confusion, and fear spreading across the region and the world. The first waves of information began with scattered accounts from witnesses who described hearing thunderous blasts in the night sky near the outskirts of a city long known for hosting critical military infrastructure within minutes. Regional media channels carried breaking updates, suggesting that multiple states had coordinated a strike against Israel in an operation unlike anything seen before in recent memory. What makes this story so striking is not only the scale of the attack, but the rare unity of 4 different governments in carrying out such an act. At the very heart of Israeli Defense Establishment initial reports claimed that the coordinated strike involved both aerial drones and missile launches, with explosions shaking the ground for miles around the academy. Panic quickly spread as nearby neighborhoods rushed into shelters, fearing further escalation. Emergency sirens pierced the air, while security forces moved to seal off the impacted zone. Eyewitnesses recalled seeing fire plumes rising above the horizon, lighting up the sky and sending shockwaves across residential communities. The sheer coordination and timing of this assault hinted at months of preparation and an intent to send a powerful message to Israel and the world. In the hours following the first strike, Israeli defense units scrambled to regain control. The sound of interceptors streaking through the night mixed with the cries of families huddling together in fear reports indicated that parts of the academy complex sustained damage, though the full extent remained uncertain. The Israeli military issued urgent statements to calm the public while promising swift evaluation of the damage. And a firm response at the same time, media outlets across the globe carried wall-to-wall coverage trying to piece together how 4 nations managed to cooperate on such a bold move, and what the implications would be for the region. Diplomatic circles erupted in frantic activity, embassies issued warnings, airlines diverted flights, and neighboring countries went on high alert. Questions filled every conversation. Who authorized this joint strike? How was it executed without detection, and what was the ultimate objective? Some analysts argued that the assault was meant as retaliation for long-standing disputes. Others believed it was intended to test Israel's defense capacity and international resolve regardless of motive. The fictional event marked a tipping point and introduced a scenario where escalation seemed inevitable. On the streets of Israel, ordinary citizens expressed shock and anger. Some said they had never experienced such coordinated aggression in their lifetime. Others worried about the future of peace and stability in the Middle East. For many, the sound of sirens and explosions revived painful memories of past wars and clashes as people lined up at gas stations, grocery stores, and pharmacies. The sense of uncertainty deepened. Officials declared states of emergency in several areas, reinforcing shelters and mobilizing reserve units to ensure readiness for what might come next. Meanwhile, international leaders voiced deep concern statements poured in from Washington, London, Brussels, Moscow, and Beijing, urging calm and restraint, while acknowledging the seriousness of a coalition-level strike against Israel. International organizations called for urgent meetings and consultations with the United Nations Security Council, scheduling an emergency session to deliberate on the unfolding crisis across news networks. Experts debated whether this incident could ignite a broader war or whether diplomatic intervention might prevent further bloodshed. The world held its breath as Israel assessed its response options throughout the region. Reactions varied. Some governments praised the unity of the 4 nations. Others condemned the act as reckless and destabilizing. In capitals across the Middle East, thousands gathered in streets chanting slogans, celebrating the move, while others worried about retaliation that could bring devastating consequences to their own countries. The complexity of regional politics played out in real time, with alliances shifting and suspicions deepening. Many feared that this incident could redraw lines of conflict that had already been fragile for decades back inside Israel. The military academy that was targeted symbolized more than just training grounds. It represented the intellectual and strategic future of the armed forces. The idea that adversaries managed to penetrate defenses and strike at such a symbolic institution shook the national psyche deeply. This was not only about physical damage, but about psychological impact. A reminder that even well-fortified positions could be vulnerable in an era of advanced technology and evolving warfare methods. Commentators emphasize that this attack represented a new chapter in conflict where cyber coordination drones and long-range missiles could be used together to devastating effect. In this fictional scenario, Israeli leaders convened emergency meetings through the night, debating whether to respond immediately with force or to engage in careful assessment before making their move. Military strategists urged preparedness for multiple waves of attack, suggesting that the initial strike might have been only the beginning. Intelligence agencies worked around the clock to trace the origins of the weapons used and to identify the networks that enabled 4 different nations to coordinate so precisely on the ground. Thousands of soldiers were mobilized and defense batteries were repositioned in anticipation of further threats. Ordinary families, meanwhile, faced the harsh realities of disruption. Schools closed, businesses shuttered, and hospitals braced for casualties and shortages. Social media exploded with videos of fire in the night sky. Citizens filming the flashes and sounds from their balconies, posting messages of fear, anger, and resilience. The global community watched these images spreading rapidly across platforms, adding to the sense of urgency and crisis in a world already unsettled by economic pressures and political tensions. The fictional joint strike became a symbol of how quickly stability can unravel as more details emerged about the coordination. It appeared that the 4 countries involved had engaged in months of covert planning. Intelligence leaks suggested meetings held in undisclosed locations, agreements reached over tactics, timing, and methods. The sheer secrecy of such planning stunned observers, given the difficulty of maintaining trust. And cooperation among states with differing agendas and rivalries. Analysts debated whether this alliance was temporary or a sign of a longer-term pact designed to challenge Israeli influence in the region. The fact that such a coalition even emerged in this storyline highlighted how shifting priorities can bring unexpected partners together. Israeli citizens braced themselves for retaliatory strikes as officials hinted that response would be firm and decisive. While urging patience and unity among the people, the pressure on leadership grew with calls from opposition parties.